Hello everyone, Wargame Workshop here with our second video. Today we're going to be discussing the Warhammer 40,000 Terminator Squad. So, these guys are probably going to be your heavy infantry if you're playing these Space Marines. They're able to soak up a lot of damage and sit on capture points, which is my personal strategy with them. And with some of their abilities, they can be very versatile and good. We'll get into that later in the video. So, these guys, if you buy this box set, they will include 5 Terminators. Now, I got my Terminators in the Leviathan box set, so mine are more or less monopose, and I'm unsure of the price for these particular Terminators, and I do not know if you can buy them anymore, unless you buy the Leviathan box set or the Combat Patrol for the Space Marines. These particular Terminators are monopose, though, so you probably don't want to buy them anyways, and you can buy a different Terminator Squad, which have multiple poses for $55 US on Games Workshop and probably cheaper on some other websites like Amazon. So this squad will include 5 Terminators, and these 5 Terminators will equal 200 points. So pretty large amount of points for just 5 guys, and if you make it into a 5 to 9 man squad of regular Terminators, then that is going to get you up to 400 points. And you can have up to 5 regular Terminators in a squad, including the heavy guy and 1 sergeant. That is the maximum. And you can only have 1 sergeant in a Terminator squad, though I do believe you can have up to 2 heavies in your 10-man Terminator squad. So these Terminators are very good. They have lots of different types of units in them. So the first one we have is the Heavy Terminator. So this guy is equipped with a assault cannon. So the assault cannon is basically a minigun for Terminators, and it is very good. It has a lot of attacks. The individual attacks do not do that much damage, but when you add them all up, they can do a lot. And then in the front here, we have this sergeant, the guy with the red helmet, and he is the sergeant of the squad. He's basically a normal Terminator, but he has a powers weapon instead of a power fist, which may or may not be better than the actual power fist of a regular Terminator, depending on what you think. So the lore for these guys is quite interesting. So originally Games Workshop called them Tactical Dreadnoughts, and their armor Tactical Dreadnought Armor, but they have somewhat recently changed their names to Terminators, and they have the unique ability to teleport into battle. This is known as Deep Strike, which I think sounds awesome. And these armor is very advanced, and most chapters have a hard time repairing them, except for like the main ones, they can. And there are some rare ancient versions of this armor. And of course, in 40,000, anything that is ancient is way better than anything that is now. So this armor is very good in the lore, and these guys are just regular Space Marines. There is no extra genetic enhancements that you would get if you wanted to become a Terminator. It's simply different power armor and different squad cohesion, so you need to learn different things about the Terminators and train for that, but you would not have to alter your body in any way, I do not believe. The Terminators will use the Indominus pattern, which is this pattern of armor, but there are older patterns as well, especially if you bought boxes from earlier in the times of Games Workshop. Those would be different patterns, and those are considered to be better, actually, surprisingly. Despite looking worse on the tabletop, they are actually better than the newer ones in the lore. Though, if you're thinking about picking up these ones instead of the old ones, you should pick up these ones because they're better on the tabletop. So, their stats are pretty good. They are quite tanky, but their attacks are a little bit lacking for a 200-point unit. So each one of these guys is going to have a movement of 5, so that is pretty good. It's kind of slow, but for these very tanky units, that is going to be okay. They have a toughness of 5, so most enemy units will be able to get through unless they are infantry, in which case the infantry might have some trouble with that. And they have a save of 2+. This save is very good. any regular infantry is going to really struggle to try and actually hit one of these guys. So that's quite good, and they have an invulnerable save of 4+. So even if you have like a demigod, like shooting lightning down from the sky, they still have a 50% chance to block that. So very good. They each have 3 wounds, so that's going to make the total of the unit be 15. So you're going to have to deal 15 damage if you want to kill these guys. And they have a leadership characteristic of 6+, so they should be able to pass most battle shock tests. Most space units have a 6+ on their leadership. And an objective capture of 1, so pretty standard for all infantry units. So the heavy guy is going to have an assault cannon, so that assault cannon is going to have a range of 24. It's going to have a ballistic skill, aka to hit, of 3+, and you're going to have 6 attacks on that attack. You're going to have a strength of 6 and an armor piercing of 0. Then that's going to be 1 damage for each one of those that goes through. So you have the possibility to do up to 6 damage with that weapon. Pretty good against regular infantry. I can't say it's that good against any vehicles. A Cyclone missile launcher, which is an attachment you can put on the back of your Terminators. That is pretty good. It has 2 options, either frag or crack. So each of those will have 36 range. The frag has a blast characteristic, so that's going to do a lot of damage to multiple guys, and that frag will have 2d6 attacks, so up to 12 attacks, a ballistic skill of 3+, strength of 4, and armor piercing of 0, and 1 damage will be dealt from that. So good against infantry, not very good against any heavy vehicles or monsters. And the other option you have is crack, so that's going to have 2 attacks, it's going to hit on a 3+, and it's going to have a strength of 9. So that's going to be good against your monsters. It'll have an armor piercing of -2, and it can do up to d6 damage. So that means that it can also do up to 12 damage, just in a more heavy hitting way. There's a lot higher chance you'll miss, but it also will be able to pierce their armor better. So your choice. And the officer, or aka sergeant, can have a heavy flamer, which did not come in the Leviathan thing, but if you buy the other box, you can get that. The heavy flamer will have a range of 12, so it's essentially a pistol. It will ignore cover, and it has the characteristic of torrent, so that means that you will not have to roll a ballistic skill check. You'll go straight to seeing if you can beat their toughness, and its strength is 5. So that's higher than the missile launcher frag, but lower than all the other weapons on this list other than a storm bolter. It's going to have an armor piercing of -1, and it'll do 1 damage, which leaves the possibility to do up to 6 damage with this weapon. The main weapon, which all of the units will have other than the heavy or the officer if you chose to put a heavy flamer on him, is going to be a storm bolter, which has rapid fire 2, so you can do up to 2 extra things. And its attack is 2, so 2 attacks each, which means you can do up to 8 attacks with these whole squad. It will be able to do 3+ for its hitting, and it has a strength of 4 and armor piercing of 0, so it won't be able to pierce armor, and it'll do 1 damage. I find this weapon is pretty mid. It'll kill infantry, but other than that, I don't think it's very good. Again, these guys are more just there to take the hits, not to do the hits. But if you want them to do the hits, I would recommend using their melee weapons. So, most of these Terminators will have a Power Fist. This has 3 attacks for each one, which means that with all of the Terminators other than the officer, you'll be doing up to like 24 attacks, I believe. So that is quite high. And it has a strength of 8, so it can pierce most things, even hit some vehicles. Armor piercing of -2 and 2 damage. So that is very good. Very good. And then the Chain Fist is the same thing as that. It's just that you get 1 extra to wound. So that is slightly actually worse than the Power Fist. But luckily, none of these guys I have actually are equipped with a Chain Fist. And I don't know if that will be included in the other box set. And they can have a power weapon, which is the Sergeant's Sword. That weapon is pretty good. It will be able to have 4 attacks, so a little more than the other weapons, and it'll hit on a 3+ with a strength of 5 and an armor piercing of -2. It'll be able to do 1 damage. So it does less damage. It has 1 extra attack. Don't think that one's that great, but it exists. So the Terminator's main ability is their Deep Strike. Deep Strike essentially just means that they will be able to, at the start of the battle, they can put their teleporting Homer beacon onto the map, and once they do that, they will be able to target a unit with their rapid ingress stratagem for 0 command points, so that's free, And when resolving that stratagem, you must set this unit up within 3 of that token and not within 9 of any enemy units models. So that token will then be removed. So I was a little bit confused what this weird little homing beacon device was. I thought it was like a little missile launcher or something. That is a homing beacon. That is the little marker you will place down where you want your Terminators to go. It is not a little missile launcher, just so you know. For some reason, like the rules that came with the Leviathan actually showed that little homing beacon actually having an attack. So I thought this was a small missile launcher. I could just start shooting and it'd stay in place and sit on capture points for me. That is not the case. And they also have Fury of the Fist, so each time a model in this unit makes the attack, that target of your Oath Moment, that targets your Oath of Moment target, add 1 to the hit roll. So it just kind of goes hand in hand with that Oath of Moment stratagem. So that is the video. I hope you found this useful, and please like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. It would really support me, and I could probably get some better equipment for this. As you might have noticed, I did upgrade my lighting, so this is a little more clear. And just thank you for watching, and I will see you on the next video. Thank you. Goodbye.